morning. Today we are continuing with those angles and we are doing CO53. I can identify vertical and corresponding angles. So we talked about complementary and supplementary yesterday. The day before we talked about acute, right angles, obtuse, and straight angles. So we're learning lots of different angles. We have two more angles that we're going to be learning about today, vertical and corresponding. So first let's look at our vertical angles. Vertical angles, what does it mean to be vertical from something? Does anybody know? What do you think, Zelda?
It goes up and down.
It doesn't have to be up and down. It could be straight across. So it could be sideways, it could be diagonal, as long as it's straight across. So vertical angles are angles that are opposite each other at a common vertex. Who remembers what the vertex is? That was a vocab word from our first objective of this unit. What is the vertex? So if they're opposite each other at a common vertex, what is the vertex, Zelda?
A place where the 2 points meet.
A place where the two sides of the angle meet. So they share a common vertex. Vertical angles are congruent. What does it mean to be congruent? Anybody have a guess of what it means to be congruent? We already know they're across from each other at that common vertex. So let's look at what that would look like. If I have a line here and a line here, this is my common vertex. They're all those angles are sharing the same point. So this angle is vertical to this angle. It's opposite of it. If this angle is 40 degrees, what do you think this angle is going to be? Layla? 40 degrees. That's what it means to be congruent. Congruent means they are the same measurement. So if they are opposite from each other and they are vertical angles, they are going to be the exact same measurement. So that means that this angle is a vertical angle to this angle. What would this measurement have to be? If this is 40 degrees, not 60, we don't want 100. This is my straight line. Right here is a straight line. If it was 50 degrees, that would make this a 90-degree complementary. 140 degrees, because this angle plus this angle make a straight line. This is that straight angle line. Right here, straight angle. So if this one is 140 degrees, what does this one have to be? 140 degrees. Do you see how that works? Some of us are saying, well, what about that 360? That's our full circle is 360 degrees. That full circle. So if we had 140 plus 40 plus 140 plus 40, it equals 360. Half of that is our 180 straight angle line. So the two angles that make this straight line equal 180, and the two angles that make this side of it would be that 180 degrees. So all four numbers, you are correct, would add up to be 360. So let's do another. Well, no, that is the example that I have. came up with an example out of my head, and it's the exact same example that's in my book. That works out really well. So, using what you know about straight angles are what degree measurement? 180, you are correct. So using what we know about those straight angles, and now what we know about vertical angles, write in each unmarked angle measure. So if we have 150 here, we need to write what this measurement is, what this measurement is, and what the big measurement is. So we know if it's vertical angles are congruent, what measurement can I fill in right away, Jimena?
It's like on the other page, like on the next, like on the page before. So it was 150 and 150. Oh yeah, it is.
What are you talking about?
These are the same page.
Oh, but if we're not looking at a different objective, knowing what we know about vertical angles, what do we know, Jimena?
150.
Yeah, this angle right here is vertical to this angle, so they are congruent, they have the same measurement. We're not flipping pages, we're just using our knowledge that we learned in the last objective. We're not peeking, using our knowledge that we have. So if we have two 150-degree angles, can we fill in these two angles? Yeah. What would that be, Melanie? Why would it be 30 degrees and 30 degrees?
Because those are up to be 60 and then 150.
So not going with what we know about the 360, going with vertical and supplementary. You are correct, Melanie. You were right about it. But I want you to use the vertical and supplementary. Is there another way we know it would be 30 degrees? So, Melanie, what is this right here? It's a straight angle. So if we know one of those angles in the straight angle is 150, what does the other one have to be, Melanie? So if this one right here is 150 degrees, and we know this is a straight line, what does this angle have to be? 30, because it has to equal what? 180 degrees. So you were right in adding all of them up, it would have to equal 360 degrees, and they had to be the same measurement. You were making it a little overcomplicated than we needed to. So you were doing a little bit more math than we need, but you would have gotten the right answer. So on the test, if that's the way your brain goes and says, I know it's out at 360, I know these two have to be the same, you'll get the right answer, and that's totally fine. But I want us to see it a little bit simpler, because we don't have to overcomplicate it. And we know with vertical angles, like Melanie said, they have to be the same. So if this is 30 degrees, this one has to be 30 degrees. You are going to do the same thing for all of these measurements. This end one, like, oh my goodness, look at all these lines, look at all these angles. It's two separate. So do this one and then do this one. You have to fill in all those angle measurements. Just think of it as two separate, even though it's what looks like it's a little confusing. Just do it as two separate. So really, it's 3 sets of angle measurements that you have to do. But we're going to put our pencils down while I erase. We're going to look at the bottom half of this page, because we're not just learning about vertical angles, we are also learning about corresponding angles. So a corresponding angle are angles in the same location at a different vertex. So remember, the vertical angles shared a common vertex. Corresponding angles have a, oops, that should be an E, have a different vertex. When lines are parallel, corresponding angles are congruent. So what does it mean to be parallel lines? If your lines are parallel, what is that? So how do we know for certain that they are parallel? I could have a straight line and a straight line. They're never going to touch. So parallel lines will never ever touch. They are the same distance away from each other. So those parallel lines will never touch. And if they are corresponding angles on parallel lines, what do we know about them? They are what? Congruent. What does congruent mean? They're this exact same measurement. So, if I have my parallel lines and I have my line cutting through, this is what they're talking about. Same location. So I have my top line, I have this angle, my bottom line, its corresponding angle is going to be in that same location, the top right angle, right? So this is the top right, this is the top right on top of that line. So if I said this angle measurement was 50 degrees, what would this measurement have to be? 50 degrees. Knowing what I know about supplementary and vertical angles, can I fill in all the rest of the angles now? How could I do that, Connor? Tell me which angles I could fill in.
The other side.
The flip side or this side?
That side. Yeah.
So what would I put for this angle measurement?
50.
Why would I put 50? Remember that our vertical angles have to be opposite. You have to be able to flip it opposite. So I'm not going to put that 50 up here. I'm going to put it opposite of it. So same up here. Corresponding angles, that 50 degrees is going to go in that same location, bottom left. And it's opposite of that 50 degrees we know. Who knows what my missing angles are now? Marina? So you think this one would be 90 degrees?
No.
One, I look at it and I can see it's not 90. So stop thinking 360. That overcomplicates it. Friends, what is this right here? It's a straight line. How many degrees is a straight line, Cam? Yeah. It is 180. And if one side of that straight line is 50 degrees, what does my missing angle have to be?
180.
No. Altogether, it has to be 180. I have 50 degrees already. What's 180? Take away that 50 degree angle. 130 is what is left. That is opposite of this angle is 130. Corresponding angle, same location would be 130. Corresponding, same location, supplementary lines. Oh my goodness. See how we did that? With just one angle measurement, we can fill in all of those missing angles. All you need is one when you have parallel lines that are being broken up. So let's look at our first one right here. We have 110 degrees. Who can come up and fill in one angle measurement? Fill in one of them, Layla. How did you know that was 110 degrees? Because they are opposite of each other. They share the same vertex. Now. So, Mr. Schultz, can you tell what Layla used to know that that was 110 degrees?
Oh. Vertical angles.
Vertical angles. Mr. Schultz is so smart. He blesses us with his presence. So Layla used that vertical angle to know that if this one's 110 degrees, the one opposite is 110 degrees. Who can come and fill in another angle for me? Zelda. Fill in one angle. How did you know that was 110 degrees, Zelda?
Vertical.
Not vertical. Vertical is when we share a common vertex. What did you use? Corresponding angles. We know that this angle was 110, so that's the top left angle. So the top left angle up here has to be 110. Melanie, come fill in another angle for me. What did you use to know that was 110 degrees? Opposite angles, because they are vertical. They share a vertex. Jimena, come fill in another angle for me. How did you know that was 70 degrees, Jimena?
I subtracted 110. 180.
Yeah, because we know this is a straight angle line, which is 180 degrees. We subtract out that 110 degrees and we are left with 70 degrees. Marina, come show me another angle. Take a lucky guess. Why would that be 70 degrees, Marina? Yeah, because that's a straight line. We knew one of them's 110, so the other one had to be 70. How else could we know that that is 70 degrees? What other way could we have known it? Melanie? Yep, so that's supplementary line. So 70 and 110 are supplementary. What's another way that we could have known that was 70 degrees? Besides it being supplementary equaling 180. Marina? Yeah, it's also vertical. It shares the vertex with this 70 degrees and it's right opposite of it. So we could have used either way. We could have said, oh, vertical angles or supplementary angles. We have two more angles to fill in. Who can fill in for me? Sawyer. How did you know that was 70 degrees, Sawyer? Shh, no. Tell me what you used to know it was 70. There's several different ways we could have gone about it. Is there something opposite right now?
No.
So I couldn't use vertical angles. What can I use? I could have used the corresponding angles. This angle right here is 70 degrees, bottom left. So the bottom left here would be 70 degrees. Thank you, Sawyer. What's another way I could know that it was 70 degrees? What's another way I knew it was 70 degrees? Anybody else? What is this right here, friends?
A line.
Straight line. How many degrees is a straight line, Cam?
180.
180. So I could subtract out that 110, and I'm left with my 70 degrees. Everybody tell me what my last missing angle is. 70 degrees. I could use supplementary angle. I could use vertical angles. I could use corresponding angles. So there's 3 different ways I can figure out that last one. You are going to do all the angles on those last 2. Same way we did it here. Corresponding angle, vertical angle, supplementary angles. Fill in all the missing angles. Any questions on putting all of that together? This is going to be a quiet work time. You are going to want to make sure that you have complete definitions of our words written in. It is important that what I write on the board, you write on your paper. So if I put it on the board, it's important enough for you to write it down. I don't write stuff on the board that you don't need to know. So all those definitions you need to have written down. So if you didn't write down both sentences for corresponding angles, finish that up, write it down. When you are finished with this assignment, if we have time left over, I am passing out packet number 9. You can work on packet 9. You could practice your stations of the cross. There is no working with other people if we are practicing stations of the cross. You study by yourself. This is a silent work time. Okay, it's a short class, silent work time. If you are watching this at home, I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.